This is a little tough. Like Gene, I really don't like starting up front. And I must say that with these announcers here, I feel a little bit like coming on after the stripper. So let me just start by reading you something. 13 years ago, Bones Boursier wrote in Speedway Scene the following. If New England racing was personified by any one individual, that man had to have been Bill Welch. Welch's passing on Tuesday, February 5th, 1985, at the age of 73, ended a racing life as active as anybody in these parts has ever lived. Bill Welch not only managed to divide his over 50 years in the sport between being a mechanic, an engine builder, a car owner, an official, a promoter, and a popular announcer, but he did them all with an incredible amount of poise, dignity, and foresight. As usual, Bones had it right. Here was an incredible man who could diffuse anything that racing could offer up with his sweet reasonableness. A racing father figure, he gave our sport far more than he took. Pete Zanardi once said, Welch's gentleness single-handedly centered racing as it tried to free float in the 1970s. But there was another side to Bill Welch. No pushover, this guy. On the gas, always young. Few knew he almost died at Hudson, going off the backstretch without lifting in his Offie-powered midget. He liked guys who pushed the button. He spoke of Ron Bouchard, Dick Hansen, Bug Stevens, all of whom are here to honor him today. He liked with Dave Morton, who's also here today, to build motors and carburetors that really stretched the rules. He liked outrageous open competition promotions such as the World Series at Thompson and the Sizzler, both of which he essentially started. Frankly, it's the biggest personal honor of my life to be part of Bill Welch's induction to this Hall of Fame. And I'm really pleased to be presenting to Jackie Arut, because I know that it was Welchie who taught Jackie and Mike Joy and Dick Berggren the ropes of announcing back when those guys were knee-high to a Nerf bar. So remember with me, Jackie and Mike and Bergie and all of you whom Welchie touched, what he used to say when he'd sort of nudge up to the beer stand after the B feature every night. He said, you know, ordinarily, I never have more than one. Well, a time or two independent counsel might have had something else to say about that, but we do know this for sure. We'll never have more than one Bill Welch.
Lou, don't go away, because I've thought a lot about it when they asked me to accept this award, and one of the things that through my career has I've never forgotten is where I came from. And one of the things that I never forgot was Bill Welch. Now why? Because when I was young, dumb, and didn't know any better, I decided I was going to be an announcer. And the man that molded me and made me what I think is a fairly decent journalist was Bill Welch. And how did he do that? He did that talking to me like a father, tutoring me like a teacher, and being my friend. And he not only did it for me, once he finished creating me, he decided he would create Michael Joy as well. And Michael, I'd like to ask you to come up at this time, because I think it's just as important that you accept this as I do. Because there have been many, many times, whether it's in the victory lane of the Daytona 500, victory lane at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, or even just back at Stafford on a Friday night, that I don't think of Bill Welch and think, how am I doing, boss? It means a lot to me that you guys have decided to induct Bill into the Hall of Fame, and on behalf of Shirley Jackman, who was so close to Bill and wanted to be here to present this, I accept it, and now I'm going to hand it off to Mike for his thoughts.
We had a door on the announcer's booth at Stafford, and it said "Stars at Work," and Welch's name was at the top of the list. And I have that door. Kind of proud of that. This is very difficult for me because, and I'm glad Jack mentioned this, because when I came to Stafford, I was one of those hotshot young kids, and I knew all the answers. I didn't appreciate Bill then. It wasn't until I realized through his teaching, and I didn't even realize I was being taught, that I may have known all the answers, but I didn't know any of the damn questions. And I have Bill to thank for that, just as Jackie does. And another fellow who I work with, who also needs to be up here for all the same reasons, and that's Dick Berggren.
Come on, Dick.
When I met Bergie, he was a good PA announcer. At Thompson Speedway, we worked together, and the three of us from Welchie learned that this sport is not just about the excitement of cars going around and the men who drive them, but it's the men who build them, who work on them every week, how they do that, how they come by their skills and by their innovations that makes this the most exciting sport on earth. And it really wasn't until he was gone that I realized where I'd gotten so smart. And it was Bill. And it was all of those years of knowledge and firsthand experience that he brought to all of us and to the people who listened to him. And for all that, I'm proud to be up here with you and with Dr. Berggren.
I'll just say if Welchie were here today, he would be enormously proud not just to receive this award, but to see this huge turnout of people and the reasons that have brought you all here. He was, in fact, the Dean of New England Auto Racing. It always put a smile on his face when someone would call him that. He said, "Oh, I don't know about that," but he did. He was, in fact, the Dean of Auto Racing in this part of the world. And it's a pretty special thing that he's among the very first inductees. Thank you all.
Dick. While Dick's doing the honors, I want to tell a quick Welchie story. One of the great things that we wanted to do at Stafford was, and it was Bill that came up with the idea, said, you know, we ought to have announcing from the scene of the accident. So we got together and we worked out, back then they didn't have anything called wireless microphones. So Bill got a little motorcycle and he got a little plug-in microphone, and we touted it as we're going to have, you know, on the scene accident announcing, and Bill Welch, the Dean of New England announcers, will be there. The entire night, from warm-ups, qualifying heats, support features, go green to checkered. Finally, there's an accident. Bill gets on his motorcycle, runs over there, and we're throwing down to him. And as we throw down and Bill turns on the microphone, the driver, who shall remain nameless, I believe is maybe in this room, said, "He ran into the side of my goddamn car." Bill, and you got to know what a great guy he was. I mean, he had class. He couldn't get it shut off soon enough. So as we bellied up to the bar that night, Bill, in his inimitable way, said, "I think we've got to work on this on the scene announcing."